When the punishment time was over, Falcon finally instructed the servant to open the door. By then, I had been locked in the small dark room for a full 3 hours. I heard him say to his first love, "I've already taught her a lesson. Can you please be happy, Dove? There's no need to coax her. Just give her a piece of candy." He said that because I was slow in my reactions. He thought I was stupid and also disliked me for clinging to him. But I've been reborn. This time, Dove, won't torture myself for a lifetime just because of that piece of candy anymore. In the living room of the Falcon family's villa, a group of pampered young men were sitting there. And the waves of their laughter grew louder and louder. The little nanny of the Falcon family is so jealous. She even dared to push Vixen. What right does a fool have to compete? She's just bringing humiliation upon herself. In my opinion, it's all because Falcon is too popular. While soothing Vixen, Falcon frowned and interrupted them. "Stop talking about her. Just mentioning her makes me annoyed. And the little nanny they were talking about was me, Dove. In fact, I didn't push her. It was the Vixen they were talking about who knocked over the sweet soup I had cooked for Falcon. When I was squatting on the ground picking up the broken bowl, she suddenly fell backward and sat on the ground. When Falcon saw it, he picked her up and sent people to lock me in the small dark room that I was most afraid of. Falcon didn't believe me, so he punished me. Although I was used to it, it still made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Moreover, I'm really afraid of the dark. I stayed in the small dark room for a long time and had a very long nightmare. In the dream, I finally got married to Falcon as I wished. But he seemed to hate me very much. He started not coming home at night, and even when he did come back, he was too drunk to be conscious. It wasn't until the pregnant Vixen came to the door that I started crying and making a scene like a mad person. Falcon didn't even have the patience to coax me. He said, "I married you just because you became stupid when you saved me at the age of 7. I owed you my life. Otherwise, how could I, the president of the prestigious Falcon family, marry a fool as my wife?" So he had never liked me. But I didn't insist that he marry me. If he had told me that he had someone he liked, I wouldn't have clung to him. I kept crying and crying. When I woke up, I found that I was still in the small dark room. Everything in the dream was real. I'm just a bit slow, not a fool. I remember reading in a book that this is a rebirth. Because I made the wrong choice in my previous life, I was given a chance to regret it. I secretly made up my mind that when I was released from the small dark room, I wouldn't follow Falcon anymore. Falcon didn't like me. And I wouldn't like him anymore in the future. It wasn't until 3 hours later that I, with tears all over my face, was let out. My mother pulled me into the room and wiped away my tears. "Don't be angry with the young master. The young master didn't do it on purpose." She was a nanny of the Falcon family, and had been working for the Falcon family for almost 20 years. In her heart, sometimes I felt that the young master was more important than me. I whirled my fingers, kept my head down, and beside me, my mother seemed to be a bit emotional. "After all, we're just the family's nannies. You saved the young master. And the master's family hasn't treated us badly all these years. I told you a long time ago. You and the young master are from two different worlds. If you force yourselves together, only you will get hurt." Actually, she was right. We were nannies of the young master's family. And it was something I should have done when I saved the young master. Moreover, I can't remember that incident clearly. I just heard from my mother that the 8-year-old young master took me out because of his playfulness. Then, sorry. Due to a sudden blizzard, we were trapped in a remote place. In order to keep the young master safe, I put my coat on him. When I woke up, I had already been burned to the point of being a bit dazed and confused. Because the delay was too long. Even though it didn't affect my daily life, I was still slower than normal people. Falcon's grandfather thought that I had saved Falcon's life and also made myself like this. Whether it was morally or reasonably, he had to take responsibility for me. Mom, I won't cling to the young master anymore in the future. Although I liked him, I also knew that the primary condition for love was that both parties should have mutual affection. Not just one-sided love. That's why we tortured each other for a lifetime in the previous life. I'm just slow in my reactions. not a fool. In this life, I choose to let go and fulfill Falcon's wishes. The next day, having fulfilled my obsession, I didn't take his car. After getting up early, I transferred several buses and finally reached the destination. My position in the Falcon family enterprise was Falcon's assistant, but my mind wasn't sharp, and I often made mistakes at work, so the title of assistant was just a nominal one. This job was also forcefully arranged by Falcon's grandfather. At that time, Falcon lost his temper greatly. Since I'm going to fulfill his wishes, should I also resign? Then I searched on my phone for a long time and found that there were actually many jobs suitable for me. Although I'm slow, I love eating. I planned to set up a street stall to sell grilled sausages. The more I thought about it, the happier I became. I hummed a tune and sorted out all the documents in my hand. Dove. Why are you so happy today? It was the HR sister. I took out the chocolate in my pocket and gave it to her. I whispered in her ear, I'm leaving. She was stunned for a moment, took the chocolate, and asked with some confusion, leaving? Where to? I'm going to sell grilled sausages. When I saw the picture of grilled sausages on my phone, I almost drooled. I don't like working here. I like grilled sausages more. The HR sister was a bit confused. Although I didn't enter the company through the normal process. If I left now, shouldn't I tell President Falcon? I didn't know what the HR sister was thinking. After packing up my things, I picked up my bag and planned to leave. But just as I reached the door, I happened to meet Falcon. He seemed very unhappy, and his handsome face had an expression that said, stay away from me. When he saw me, his face became even worse. I took a step back in fear. Dove, you didn't even take the car this morning. Are you showing me your attitude? You pushed Vixen yesterday, and I only locked you up for a few hours. Are you throwing a tantrum at me now? I hung my head and stared straight at my hands that were twisted together due to nervousness. Maybe my silence pleased him. He softened his tone and said, Grandfather said that I should take care of you for a lifetime. Since I promised, I will definitely do it. Vixen is different from you. She was raised in a wealthy family since she was a child. When you see her in the future, you should give in to her more. I nodded. Anyway, I won't follow you anymore in the future. When he saw that I was yielding, his face softened a bit, and he walked straight past me and went inside. Not until I couldn't see his figure did I clench the teddy bear bag in my hand and rush outside in one go. On that day, I, who acted quickly, bought all the tools according to the pictures and started my grilled sausage business. But the ideal was very good, while the reality was harsh. Not a single Dove's grilled sausage was sold. I chewed on the grilled sausage and looked at the people coming and going, feeling very melancholy. Suddenly, cousin, I remembered the food tasting in the supermarket. That's right. I can also learn from that, and in this way, the grilled sausages won't be wasted. After I cut them into pieces, I stood on the road and distributed them to the pedestrians passing by. Hello. Would you like to try my grilled sausage? I poked the person's back. He stiffened his body and then turned around. For a moment, I was actually stunned. He was even more handsome than Falcon. He frowned slightly and gave me a quick glance. I don't have a phone number. Nor do I have WeChat. I tilted my head and looked at him curiously. This person seemed to be dumber than me. I just asked him if he wanted to eat the grilled sausage. Why did he say he didn't have a phone number? I don't want your phone number. Nor do I want your WeChat. I just want you to eat my grilled sausage. I held the grilled sausage out to him. Finally, having fulfilled my desire, his gaze shifted from my face to that small piece of grilled sausage. But he just took a look and didn't take it. My grilled sausage is really fragrant. You will definitely want to buy it after you try it. I pursed my lips shyly. So, would you like to buy it? He raised his hand, and his eyes moved slightly. Finally, having fulfilled under my expectant gaze, he took a bite. Then he bought 30 grilled sausages in one go. 30 grilled sausages were a lot. When I was packing them, I was in a dilemma and could only tie them up with twine. When Aurum saw it, he silently repacked them for me. Yes. This man who was more handsome than Falcon was named Aurum. His voice was so gentle. And he was also my first big customer. I held my phone and looked at him with bright eyes. But at this moment, my phone suddenly rang. It was a call from Falcon. As soon as I answered it, Falcon's dissatisfied voice came to the phone. Dove. Did you run away again? Although I haven't set any mandatory rules for your work content. Can you just run around as you like during working hours? The money that the Falcon family pays you as your salary didn't come out of thin air. I'm giving you 10 minutes to get to the company. Otherwise, you'll bear the consequences. Until the call ended, I didn't get a chance to say a word. Actually, Dad doesn't want the salary anymore because Dad doesn't work for the Falcon family anymore. I'm selling grilled sausages now. My nose felt a bit sour. And tears couldn't stop falling one by one. Aurum furrowed his brows. His long and narrow eyes stared at me without blinking. And then he took out a handkerchief with a faint fragrance from his pocket. Here. Wipe your tears. Was that your boss just now? I nodded and then shook my head. He was a bit at a loss whether to laugh or cry. He thought for a moment and said, Then would you like to set up a stall in my company? My company is very big. And there are a lot of employees. You can set up a stall to sell grilled sausages. And I'll support your grilled sausage business. I'd like to. Aurum paused for a moment. And the corners of his mouth slightly lifted. Okay. After a lot of fuss, having fulfilled why and sus. It was already afternoon when everything was completely sorted out. Duff's grilled sausage shop was set up at the entrance of his company. But it was inside. There was cool air from the air conditioner. And even if I was selling grilled sausages, it wouldn't be hot. Aurum is a nice person. And his employees are also nice people. My grilled sausages were almost all sold out. Duff? The sound of approaching footsteps was a bit hasty. Until the sound of high heels clacking stopped in front of me. It really is you? I strung the grilled sausages and wiped my hands a bit nervously. Vixen, what den? Would you like a grilled sausage? Vixen's expression was indifferent. And there was a look of disdain in her eyes. Who's your sister? I don't have a sister as stupid as you. I'm not stupid. I retorted in a low voice and then held out the grilled sausage in my hand. In my dream, I broke them up. Falcon likes her. So I should be nice to her too. But the grilled sausage in my hand was knocked down by her. She stared at me with disgust and said, Do you know where this is? You stupid fool. How dare you set up a stall inside the Aurum family company? Are you out of your mind? She stretched out her hand and poked my head hard. My head hurt from being poked by her long nails. Then she picked up her phone and made a call. I didn't know what she said. She gave me a sneering look. I was scared by that smile because when we first met, she splashed water on herself and smiled at me like this too. Falcon was very angry when he saw it and punished me by not allowing me to have dinner at night. And the time before last, she made me tear up the documents. Last time, she deliberately fell. Whenever she smiles like this, I will get scolded. Dad doesn't want to be punished anymore. The Vixen leaned close to me and lowered her voice. Wasn't it enough to be locked in the dark room last time? Do you still want to be locked up? I shook my head. I don't want to. I'm scared. She seemed to have heard a joke. You're such a fool. Do you know that even the things I don't want, you don't deserve to have either? I didn't take her things. Mom told me that I can't take other people's things casually. Did I pick up something and forget about it myself? I frowned, trying hard to think about what things of the Vixens I had taken. I don't know how long it had passed when a familiar voice sounded. Dove. This is really bad now. I hid behind the small stall and stared at the sausage in front of me with my eyes wide and cross-eyed. The Falcon lifted me out with one hand. He was panting heavily. And his face was full of displeasure. Falcon, what are you doing in someone else's company? He glanced at the small stall. Setting up a stall? Are you out of your mind? I got you a nominal job so that you can make money just by staying there. And you come here to cause trouble for me? I waved my hand. I didn't. I just didn't want to eat, drink and take money for free in the Falcon family. I just wanted to prove that Def can make money. I took out my phone from my pocket and wanted to show him how much I had earned today. But he took it impatiently and threw it heavily on the table. Wherever you could set up a stall would be fine. But you come to the company of the Falcon family's sworn enemy. You really know how to choose. He forcefully tore off my apron. Do you really like to embarrass me like this? Hurry up and come back with me. I don't want to. I felt a little sad. Did just wanted to set up a stall and didn't intentionally want to make him unhappy. Let go. Everyone looked over. It was Aurum. And the receptionist's sister was also with him. President Falcon. Did you come to my company just to snatch someone from me? He paced in front of me and calmly took Falcon's hand away. Don't be rough with girls. Aurum stood sideways between me and Falcon. I let her come in and set up the stall. Dove sausages taste good. And all the employees in my company like them very much. I mean, let out a low sigh. I like them too. He smiled gently like jade, but there was clearly no warmth in his eyes. Falcon frowned. And his lips were pursed straight. He didn't know how. In just a short while, I would get involved with Aurum. President Aurum. Her mind is not the same as that of a normal person. I don't care if you play with other women. But now I want to take her away. After hearing this, Aurum sneered. And his eyes became even colder than before. Sorry. I don't think there's any difference between Dove and a normal person. If you want to take her away, you should at least get her permission. As soon as these words were spoken, Falcon's eyebrows relaxed. And he looked confident. He looked at me hiding behind Aurum and said, Dove, come here. Why is it that Aurum, who I've known for less than a day, doesn't call me a fool, but Falcon, who I've been with for 16 years, says I'm not a normal person? In fact, Dove doesn't ask for much. If he doesn't call me a fool, I'll leave with him. I looked into his eyes and then grabbed the hem of someone else's clothes. I want to stay. His expression froze slightly. And almost instantly, his face changed angrily. Dove, do you know what you're saying? He suppressed his anger and reached out his hand to me. Come here quickly. Don't make me angry. I squeezed the sleeve in my hand even tighter, shook my head, and said more firmly, Dove wants to stay. Whether it's the receptionist's sister or Aurum. The people here don't treat me like a fool. I know my own abilities. Maybe I can't be a good assistant to Falcon, but I can make very delicious sausages. Dove also wants someone to praise me. And I don't want to hear that I'm a fool anymore. Falcon dropped his hand and let out a sneer. Just because I punished you a little bit yesterday, you dared to act like this? Dove, if you don't want to come back, and never come back. When I stuck my head out again, Falcon only left a back view. The Vixen, standing on one side, had a tumultuous mind. She could only force a smile and say to Aurum, Aurum, when did you get so familiar with Dove? Aurum glanced at her coldly from the corner of his eye. Is there something you want from me? Vixen? For the charity gala in a month. If you're short of a female companion. Actually Aurum interrupted her and refused. Sorry. I haven't decided whether to go or not yet. Then he turned around and looked at me. Have you sold out all the sausages? I nodded vigorously. Aurum couldn't help but curl the corners of his mouth. Then I'll help you clean up. And I'll send you home later. The Vixen, watching the intimate interaction between the two in front of her, was so angry that she had to swallow her dissatisfaction reluctantly. But until the small stall was cleaned up, Aurum didn't look at the Vixen again. And she could only leave dejectedly. All her pent-up anger was blamed on that fool. Her mind was racing. And she took out her phone and typed quickly. You can come anytime tomorrow. Just skin your face here. Aurum pointed at the electronic screen, not far from me. You can leave the small stall here. There's no need to worry about it being taken away. Aurum drove steadily and quickly. I gave him the few remaining chocolate balls in my pocket. Thank you. He looked at those chocolate balls and peeled one open and put it in his mouth when the traffic light was red. It's very delicious. I was overjoyed to be praised. He handed me one again. You eat too. I shook my head. I can't eat it. I'll get scolded. Before, Dove ate bread in Falcon's car because she was hungry. He said it would dirty his car and asked me to get out and finish eating before getting back in. It was winter at that time. I was shivering with cold. And I even choked because I ate the bread too quickly. Since then, Dove has never dared to eat in the car again. Aurum's fingers on the steering wheel clenched tightly. And then he peeled open a chocolate. Come on. Open your mouth. Under my confused gaze. He smiled and explained. Dove. You can eat whatever you want in my car. The car stopped not far from the Falcon family's residence. I got out of the car with my teddy bear bag on my back. Do you live here? I nodded. Are you Falcon's fiancé? The more Aurum thought about it, the more something seemed off, combined with Falcon's appearance today. He seemed to have heard before that Falcon and did have a childhood sweetheart fiancé. But as she is a fiancé, how could a man speak so harshly to his loved one? I leaned against the car window. Shh. Don't say that casually. Falcon will be angry if he hears it. Aurum almost spat out blood. Was he getting involved in some strange play between the couple? When his brain was almost overloaded, he only heard me speak slowly. I'm just an Annie in his family. My mother is also an Annie. I'm not his fiancé. He will be unhappy if he hears that. And he will even hit you. A year ago, I followed my mother's instructions and brought a fruit plate to Falcon and his friend. His friend smiled and teased that I was his little virtuous wife. But the next second, Falcon's face darkened, and he kicked his friend. His voice was cold. And I still remember that sentence. Don't associate me with a fool. If you want to marry her, you marry her. It's really unlucky. Thinking of this, not feeling at ease, I widened my eyes and leaned in front of Aurum, whispering. So don't say I'm his fiancé. I don't want you to get beaten. A strange feeling suddenly rose in his heart. He smiled faintly and replied, Okay. Falcon, who drove back at full speed, punched the sandbag for 10 minutes. And the pent-up anger in his chest dissipated a lot. But whenever he thought of Dove's words, stay, an inexplicable feeling of annoyance made him unable to control his outburst. He had been with Dove for 16 years. He even knew the time of her first period. Dove gave him her coat in the cold winter. And she herself got a fever and became a bit muddled. He wasn't untouched by that. But as time passed, he really got a bit tired of her, who was always a step slower than normal people. Even his grandfather started to interfere in their affairs, and even regarded Dove as his future granddaughter-in-law, as the future heir of the Falcon family. If it got out that his wife was a fool, how many people would talk about him and laugh at him behind his back? He had guilt and pity for Dove. But there was just a lack of that bit of love. The Vixen was his first love and the woman he loved. But why did he feel so uncomfortable seeing Dove's resistant expression today? Even seeing her hide behind another man and keep a distance from him. The screen of his phone lit up, and many messages popped up. Falcon took a casual look, and the anger that had just subsided flared up again. It was a message from the Vixen, saying that Aurum had helped Dove clean up the small stall and even sent her home. He was furious. Standing by the window. Not long after, a colonel slowly stopped downstairs of his villa. Dove pressed her small face against the car window. I don't know what Aurum on the other side said. But she smiled so much that her eyes curved into crescents. When I came in, it was as if there was a heavy rainstorm inside. Falcon crossed his legs. His expression gloomy. I was so nervous that I didn't dare to breathe, and could only lighten my steps. Dove. I looked up, and when I saw his fierce expression, I lowered my head again. He sneered. Didn't you say you were coming back? I told you before that if you didn't want to come with me then, you should never come back. I just didn't want to go back to the company. Not that I didn't want to come home. He seemed to have heard something funny. Home? Is this your home? I didn't say anything and just stared blankly at the threads on my pants. Feeling that he had spoken too harshly, Falcon scratched his head in annoyance. It was my grandfather who made the decision about our marriage without asking me. In fact, the one I like is. I know. I quickly interrupted. You don't like me. I'm just an Annie of the Falcon family. He was stunned for a moment. And then his brows furrowed. That's not what I meant. I don't regard you as an Annie. Brother Falcon. I want to go back to my room and rest. Before he could respond, I quickened my pace and ran to the bedroom. And then locked the door and sent a message. I'm already home. A few seconds later, the screen lit up. Okay. For the next period of time. I got up early every day to set up a stall and sell sausages in Aurum's company. Because our work and rest schedules were different, I didn't run into Falcon for a long time. But today was a bit special. There was a message from Falcon on my phone. He rarely contacts me. Most of the time, it's me who talks. And on the screen, he has only replied with a dot to me. I used to not know what it meant. So I asked him. But he said impatiently, "Because I don't want to reply to you." Got it? While recalling the past, a WeChat voice call rang. "Dove? You've seen the message, right? Remember to buy it and send it over. I've also written down the address." After saying this, he hung up. I stared blankly at my phone. But I was actually at a team building event. It was a team building event for Aurum's employees. And they included me in it too. I was so happy because it was the first time I had ever participated in a team building event. "What's wrong, Dove?" The receptionist lady picked up some of my favorite shrimps and put them in my bowl. I'm leaving," I mumbled with my lips, afraid that they would be unhappy if they heard me. It's only been a short while since it started. It's only around 8 o'clock now. We'll send you back after we finish eating." I shook my head. I couldn't wait any longer. Falcon was really scary when he was angry. I can go home by myself. I picked up my teddy bear bat and walked towards the door. "Dove, don't leave yet. President Aurum will be here soon. If you leave now." By the time she rushed out, I was already out of sight. At a loss, she quickly called President Aurum's assistant. Holding my phone, I got out of the car and ran all the way to a convenience store. "Hello, miss. I want to buy condoms." The originally lively voices around me suddenly went quiet at this moment. The lady in the convenience store looked at me with a strange look of inquiry in her eyes. I unconsciously tensed up and clenched my phone tightly. And then spoke again. "Miss, Heathen fulfilled session. I want to buy condoms." What size do you want?" I don't know. What's a size?" The little sister's face turned awkward. She didn't know how to explain it either and always felt it was a bit strange. "Did your boyfriend ask you to buy them?" I shook my head. Her expression froze. "Are you being forced to buy them?" "Well, not really. My mother is an Annie in his family. And so am I. So it's only right that I buy things for Falcon." "No, miss." I checked my phone again. "I want this size." When I picked up the bag of things I had bought and rushed outside, it was exactly 8:30. It was already very dark. I looked at the intersection and didn't know which way to go. I remembered that the uncle who drove me there couldn't park here and was waiting for me nearby. But why couldn't I see him? Before I knew it, I was walking further off the path. There were strange breathing sounds behind me, which made me think of terrifying monsters. I picked up my nails. Feeling a bit uneasy, I stopped. And the sound behind me also stopped. This reminded me of a movie I had watched before, in which the heroine was taken away by bad guys in the same way. The more I thought about it, the more scared I became. And I started running forward. There were sounds of groaning and falling behind me. And soon it became quiet. I didn't dare to stop and ran faster and faster. Suddenly, a hand landed on my shoulder. "There are bad guys. Help." I threw the bag at him. "Dove." My hand was gently held. "It's me, an Aurum." I blinked. It really was Aurum. Then I threw myself into his arms and started crying. I thought there was a big bad guy. Aurum couldn't help but smile as he patted my back. But what I said was indeed right, because there really were bad guys. And luckily he arrived in time. He lowered his head and, by the warm yellow streetltwide, saw a large number of condoms on the ground. His face darkened. "Dove, did you come out just to buy these? Did Falcon ask you to buy them?" I leaned against his chest, nodded with a lingering fear. After a long while, I heard Aurum's voice. "Let's go home. But I have to send these to Brother Falcon. He picked them up for me and then carried the bat. We're not sending them. Let's go home first." After thinking about it, he added, "Go back to my home." He thought that since Falcon didn't cherish her, then he would cherish her. He liked her very much. On the other side, Falcon Falcon, who was playing games in the hotel, threw the playing cards in his hand onto the table with a slightly irritated expression. I'm not playing anymore. The others looked at each other in surprise. And Vixen also froze a bit. Falcon, heading for Falcon. What's wrong with you? He glanced out the window at the thick darkness and somehow felt even more depressed. During this period, he had noticed that Dab was deliberately avoiding meeting him. And when they occasionally met, she seemed very happy. How long had it been since he last saw her smiling face? He didn't know. He only knew that he was starting to regret some of the words he had said to Dab before. In fact, he wasn't that resistant to her following him. It was just that because of his grandfather's forced arrangement, he felt like he was being controlled. He just didn't like being casually influenced. And he was even less willing to admit that he seemed to have developed feelings for Dab. The truth or dare is void. After saying this, Falcon opened the door and walked out. He didn't want it to be treated like a joke. Summoned and dismissed at will. He dialed Dab's number on his phone again and again. No one answered. He was a bit scared. When he continued to call, it was finally answered, and his expression lit up. But it was a man's voice on the phone. Aurum's. He said that Dab was with him and that he would send her back in the morning. As soon as he finished speaking, he hung up. When he tried to call again, the phone was already turned off. The shadow under the light gradually merged with the night. Even though it was summer, he felt the chill all over his body for no apparent reason. Aurum brought me back to his home. He carefully wiped away my tears and even tidied up the room. You can wear my clothes for now. I'll send someone to bring a few sets over tomorrow. He placed the prepared pajamas beside me. You'll feel better after getting some sleep. Aurum arranged everything on his own. He brought her back here so suddenly without asking for her consent. After preparing what he wanted to say, he said gently, Dove, if you want to go home, I can also send you back. I shifted my gaze from the clothes to his face, and then shook my head vigorously. I don't want to go back. Can I stay here? Okay. Don't be afraid. Go wash up. Perhaps because I was still shaken by being followed that night, I kept shivering. Aurum stayed by my side, held my hand, and started telling a fairy tale. In his gentle voice, I gradually fell asleep. When I woke up, it was already the next morning. There was a post-it note left by Aurum on the table, and the porridge was still warm. I sat there blankly after brushing my teeth. My phone showed that Falcon had made more than a dozen missed calls. In fact, I wanted to call him back, but I suddenly felt so tired. Why did I still feel so upset even though I had tried my best not to bother them? The book clearly said that after being reborn and staying away, I could find happiness. Why didn't I feel happy? Was I not worthy of it? I didn't deliver the things last night. Would I get scolded again? But I don't want to be scolded. I prefer to be praised. Suddenly, the door opened. Aurum had been distracted at work in the company today, so he drove back home after not working for long. Dove. He walked up to me. Have you had breakfast? I don't want to eat. He put on an apron. How about I cook you some egg noodles? If you don't have breakfast, you're likely to get a stomachache. You'll often have abdominal pain in the future. He skillfully cracked an egg and then, after hesitating for a long time, continued. After you finish eating, I'll send you back. I stood up, feeling a bit uneasy, and said timidly, He'll be angry with me. He'll be angry with me and scold me. And I don't want to go back. He paused in his actions of cooking the noodles. Then we'll send you back later. How long was later? He didn't know either. He only knew that if the little girl in front of him didn't want to go back, he could let her live in his home for the rest of her life. With Aurum's answer, I suddenly felt that when it rained heavily, everyone else was picked up by those who cared about them. It was only me who had waited under the eaves for a long time. But now, someone had come to pick me up too. I didn't go back and stayed at Aurum's place. Because Falcon made too many phone calls. Aurum helped me get a new SIM card. I contacted my mother in advance. On the other end of the phone, my mother's voice seemed a bit tired, but she said, Dove, just do what you like, as long as you're happy. I searched for Aurum on the internet. I didn't study much and don't know a lot. I only know that many people say he has a kind heart. Dove. Don't worry. I won't reveal your address. You've suffered a lot with me these years. Our family's debt is almost paid off. After I finish this year's work, I'll resign. And then I'll have the money to support you. Dove. After hanging up the phone, I started crying. Aurum said that the sound of my crying was like a kettle. But he gently wiped away my tears. I looked at him, sobbing. Mom loves me so much. He smiled and pinched my face. Yes. Yes. Is there anyone who doesn't love Dove? I poked my head out of his arms, stared into his eyes, and stammered. Then, having fulfilled my obsession, what about you? Do you love me too? He was taken aback, as if he hadn't expected me to ask this question. My heart was pounding. Did I make a mistake again? I shouldn't have asked. What if he was unhappy? I like you. He held my hand. I like you very much. He had always been thinking about at what point he should talk to the little girl in front of him about the topic of love. Was it because she was too innocent and her eyes were too clear? Or was he afraid that it was just his one-sided wish, like a fool's dream? After all, who would shy away from something beautiful? But his feelings for her were like the wilderness on a midsummer night, impossible to cut down or burn out. When the gentle breeze blew, the wild grass stretched as far as the eye could see. Hearing the answer I wanted, I widened my eyes and burrowed back into his arms. Was this what my mother called mutual affection? Love has no distance. Words can be without barriers. And I'll be happy too. I won't be scolded anymore because here with him, there will always only be praise. I replied to him. I like you too. Very, very much. Even more than he liked me. At the charity gala, I accompanied Aurum as his female companion. I was afraid of embarrassing him. But he said I didn't need to be afraid, and everyone would like me. And there were a lot of delicious things here. A few grandpas came over to talk to him. But I wanted to eat the teddy bear cake, so he told me to go and wait for him there. And he would come over right away. I just didn't expect to meet Vixen. How did you get here? She was dressed like a princess. I held out the cake in my hand to her. Do you want to eat it? Everyone present was an important figure, so she didn't dare to casually knock it over, and could only roll her eyes. And she seemed to remember something and walked up to me. Dove? I heard that you ran away with a strange man? You don't even go home anymore. Is that true? Her voice wasn't too loud or too soft, but the people around still heard it and looked at us with some curiosity. What's a strange man? He's not strange. Aurum wasn't a strange person. He was very gentle and also good-looking. My face turned red. Vixen clicked her tongue. You really are a fool. Only someone with no brains would run away with a strange man. More and more eyes were on me. But I could feel which looks were kind and which were malicious. I took 2 steps back, wanting to escape this atmosphere that I didn't like. But Vixen grabbed me and whispered in my ear. Dove. You'd better die outside. Falcon used to love me to death. Why is he going crazy trying to find you now that you're gone? It's all your fault. What right do you, a fool, having fulfilled my, have to compete with me? I'm telling you. You'll never deserve to be happy. After all, who would spend their whole life with a fool? My face turned pale as I tried my best to shake off her hand. And tears streamed down my face. That's not true. I can be happy. I can be happy because I have my mom. And I have Aurum. Vixen, have Vixen. Let go of my fiancé. Aurum exuded a chilling aura. Like a god. He forcefully separated Vixen's hand that was gripping mine tightly. Dove? He raised his eyes and his gaze landed on Vixen's face. Those normally gentle, narrow phoenix eyes were now covered with a thin layer of cold mist, making the other person shiver involuntarily. Vixen, I'd like you to explain why my fiancé has become like this in just a short while. Vixen seemed not to have heard Aurum's words. All that echoed in her mind was when did Dove become Aurum's fiancé? She mumbled, why? She desperately wanted to get an answer under Aurum's gloomy gaze. Aurum, did I hear you right? You said Dove is your fiancé? So what if she is? Aurum said coldly. That's a matter between me and Dove. And it has nothing to do with outsiders. As for you, Where on earth do you get the nerve to treat my wife like this? I don't agree. I don't believe it. Two different voices sounded simultaneously. I turned around. The person's face looked dejected. Perhaps having gone through a long period of unpleasant life. Even the stubble on his face had grown out. It was Falcon. There was pain in his eyes. And more of it was disbelief. Dove. What did you say he is to you? He took a step closer. And Aurum stood between me and Falcon. Aurum. You actually dared to touch my woman. He gritted his teeth and raised his fist. I sidestepped and stood in front of Aurum again. I hugged Aurum and closed my eyes. Being punched really hurts. And I didn't want Aurum to be a punching bag. But after a long time, I didn't feel any pain. I opened my eyes carefully. And it was Falcon with a sad face. Why? He looked at me. Dove. How could you become his fiancé in such a short time? You clearly were mine. I'm not. I shook my head firmly. I'm not your fiancé. I know you don't like me because after Grandpa Falcon arranged it, you said a lot of things to your friends about how much you hated Dove. No, Dove. It was me. I was muddle-headed for a moment. I do like you. I wiped the tears from my face. Even though a long time has passed, just thinking about it makes me sad and makes me cry. No. You don't. If you liked me, you definitely wouldn't treat Dove like this. Because Dove would also be sad and heartbroken. I'm really afraid of the dark room. But you always locked me in the dark room every time. But I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Because you don't love me. So I understand. If love means making the other person cry and making them afraid, then how could that be love? Actually, I want to thank you, Brother Falcon. You took in my mom and me back then. I smiled through my tears. If it weren't for you, my mom and I would have been gone long ago. Back then, my mom owed a lot of external debt because my dad was seriously ill. In desperation, she even wanted to commit suicide with me. We happened to meet Falcon, who was passing by in a car. He said that if we didn't have money, we could come to the Falcon family, and the Falcon family could easily afford to support two people. But you also saved me. Falcon's eyes were bloodshot. He reached out his hand with hope in his eyes. We can start over. So we don't owe each other anything anymore. I shook my head and refused, holding Aurum's hand in return. Now Dove is very happy. And Dove wants to be happy forever. Let's say goodbye properly this time. Falcon. Goodbye. Aurum didn't say anything because at this moment, it seemed that there was no need for him to say anything. And now, Falcon's originally straight back suddenly bent. Just a few months passed from summer to winter. As the end of the year approached, my mom resigned from the Falcon family, bought a small grocery store, and also purchased a small second-hand house. She said, "My Dove loves snacks the most. Opening a grocery store will allow her to eat as many snacks as she wants." Also at the end of the year, I got engaged to Aurum. A few days before the wedding preparations, I saw Falcon, who was very thin. He looked as if he was ill. "Dove. I heard you're getting married." His expression was dull. "Don't worry. I didn't come here to disturb you." I hesitated for a moment and then trotted over. "I know." He paused and said with difficulty. "What Vixen did. I actually knew it was all her doing. I just enjoyed the feeling of being fought over too much. And I deliberately treated you so harshly. She's now." Falcon didn't continue. "Vixen wasn't having a good time either. Recently, there has been a wave of exposés on the internet targeting her. And now she's like a rat crossing the street." Of course. He knew who was behind it. But he wouldn't help her anymore. Everyone has to atone for the mistakes they've made. Bringing his thoughts back. "I caused you a lot of harm before because I thought you wouldn't leave me. Dove. Now I just hope you can be happy." So that's how it was. So he knew everything. But fortunately, hadn't fulfilled my obsession. Those things were all in the past. Dove has a bad memory and has already forgotten about it. I thought for a moment. Then took out chocolate balls from my pocket and stuffed them into his hand. "Do you want some candy?" He took them in a daze. "Dove." It was Aurum calling me from behind. I responded. Then I looked at Falcon again. "You should eat more in the future. You're too thin." If you don't eat, your stomach will hurt. And you'll get sick too. After saying this, I ran towards Aurum with a ding 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 sound. Suddenly remembering something, I turned back and waved at Falcon. Brother Falcon, I forgive you. Aurum put his arm around my shoulder. Didn't even give Falcon a glance. And directly closed the door. Falcon looked at the chocolate balls in his hand. Suddenly covered his eyes with both hands. And burst into tears. The cry was filled with the despair of loss. What's that sound? I leaned out to open the window. But Aurum stopped me. He put his arm around my waist and pressed me onto his lap. Dove. Today you should look at me more. His warm breath burned my face. And he gently kissed the center of my eyebrows. Am I good looking? His voice was different from usual. Like a candy with cream. Twice as sweet. My face turned red as I nodded. Yes, Pave-tu. You are. Then do you like me? I continued to nod. I do. His breath got closer and closer. So close that I could smell the sweetness of the chocolate balls I had just given him. In the end, I could also taste the flavor of the chocolate balls he had eaten. At this moment, my sharp eyes caught a glimpse of star-like snowflakes falling outside the window. It's snowing. Aurum tapped the tip of my nose. I'll play with you later. It's so happy. Dove can finally watch the snow and a snowball fights this winter. The end.